Hi, today we are going to recap a movie named as John Wick Part 1 casting Keanu Reeves with a genre of action, thriller, and adventure with IMDb rating of 6.8. Now let's start the movie recap. A car driven by John Wick collides with a wall. Bloodied and injured, he staggers out of the truck. He applies pressure on a wound in his stomach. He takes out his phone and views a video of his wife Helen on the beach while he crawls to the side. John slouches and closes his eyes. Several days before this, on a cloudy day, John wakes up. He gets flashbacks of being with Helen, the two of them at dinner, then a shot of them kissing, and finally, the moment when she faints in his arms. John is then shown with her in a hospital bed. He kisses her forehead and looks at the doctor, who grabs his softboard and walks out. The next shot is of John with a necklace in his hand as he takes out his car. His wife was afflicted with a disease that took her life. The day of her funeral has arrived. Everyone leaves John standing over her grave as a man watches from afar. Following the ceremony, John's old buddy Marcus comes up to him and says that it has been a while, and then asks John how he is holding up. The two then talk, and Marcus says that he is just checking up on an old friend. He then says goodbye and leaves. After the service, John is shown at home. He starts to clean up when the bell rings. He opens the door to see a delivery woman standing there. She asks John to sign some papers and hands John a package. It's a little beagle. Helen has left a letter for John. She wrote to him, saying that she has accepted her death and that she wants John to love again and that she would like him to start with the puppy. Reading the letter, John starts crying. He takes the dog out from its pen and examines its flower-adorned collar, which leads John to the conclusion that Helen named the dog Daisy. He brings the dog a couple of sheets, but the dog doesn't seem to want to get off the bed, but John picks it up and places it off the bed. The next day, the dog climbs on the bed and wakes John and then follows him all around the house. John then pours some cornflakes for himself and the dog and tells it that they are going to buy some proper food for her. He bonds with the puppy and they spend the day driving around in his vintage 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. He pulls over alongside three Russian mobsters, including Iosef Tarasov, the son of crime boss Viggo Tarasov, for gas. Iosef approaches John's automobile, compliments it, and then inquiries about the price. John then says it's not for sale. Iosef then abuses John in Russian, saying that everything has a price, bitch. Assuming he won't understand, but John corrects him by speaking Russian and tells him that, not this bitch. Iosef was petting Daisy at the moment, but hearing this, he gets angry and is about to react when one of his friends pulls him back and tells John to have a good day. Later that day, John takes his car to an abandoned construction area and starts drifting all over the place to vent out his frustration. He almost runs into some trucks, but just stops in time. Daisy must relieve herself while John is getting ready for bed, so John takes her downstairs. When they arrive, two shadowy guys stand in front of John, while a third grabs a bat and whacks him in the head. While Daisy whimpers, the man begins to pound on John. One of the men attacks the dog and snaps her neck. One of the men asks to find the keys, and the other responds that he has found them. After taking the keys, the guy removes his disguise, revealing himself to be Iosef. He insults John and asks him to sleep well before knocking him out. Later, when John awakens, he walks up to his lifeless pet and lays next to it as he strokes her head. He buries the dog and then starts cleaning the mess in his house as memories of his wife and the attack from last night go through his head. Iosef drives John's Mustang to Aurelio's store. Iosef tells Aurelio that he needs some clean papers and a new number plate for the car. But Aurelio recognizes the car right away and demands to know where Iosef obtained it. Iosef boasts about who he took the automobile from and how he murdered the dog of that guy. Aurelio tells him to get out of the shop, but Iosef responds that they own him. Aurelio responds that he does not work for him, but works with his father, and then hits Iosef in the face. One of Iosef's goons pulls out a gun and points it at Aurelio, but the other one stops him from shooting. Iosef gets up and insults Aurelio and tells him that he will take his business someplace else. Later, John stops by the shop and inquiries about the car. Iosef replies that the car was here and that Iosef is Viggo's son. Viggo phones Aurelio later, that night, inquiring as to why he struck Iosef. Aurelio just replies that because his son took John Wick's car and murdered his dog. In response, Viggo just says, "Oh." Viggo seems worried and goes down to his penthouse as one of his men congratulates him, but Viggo tells him that he wants to meet with his son. Meanwhile, John enters his basement with a sledgehammer and begins bashing the floor open. He is revealed to have been looking for a cache of weapons and gold coins. To address the problem, Viggo meets with Iosef at Aya's house. He first hands Iosef a drink and then tells him that he is wearing a nice jacket before he punches his kid in the stomach twice to scold him, reminding him of who he had just wronged. Viggo's henchman asks if he can leave, but Viggo orders him to stay. Iosef is then told by Viggo that John Wick used to be linked with him until he met Helen and chose to quit. John had a reputation as Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, or rather as the man who was summoned to assassinate the boogeyman. Viggo tells his son about the time he saw John Wick kills 3 men in a bar with a pencil and reminds Iosef just how dangerous John Wick is. When John wanted to retire and marry Helen, Viggo gave him an impossible task, implied to involve multiple high-level assassinations in a short period of time. To Viggo's surprise, John succeeded, and his efforts were key in establishing the Tarasov syndicate. Iosef tells his father that he can handle the situation and will finish the job, but his father tells him that John will come for him and that he can do nothing about it. After warning Iosef of his impending doom, Viggo dials John's number in an attempt to rectify the situation, but John hangs up. That night, Viggo sends a team of 12 hitmen to John's house to kill him. John easily eliminates all of them, battling with the final few before stabbing the last one in the heart. A police officer comes to the front door and knocks. John addresses him by name and inquires whether there has been a noise complaint, to which the officer responds affirmatively. He inquires if John is back in the game, referring to the body that can be seen behind John. John claims he's simply figuring things out. The officer bids him farewell and departs. To clean up the area and dispose of the dead, John summons an underworld cleanup team with whom he has previously worked. They appear to be aware that this will not be the last time they assist him. Viggo approaches Wick's buddy Marcus and offers him a $2 million contract to assassinate John Wick. He also tells his assistant Avi to put out a request for other people to fill the position. Marcus happily accepts the offer. John checks into the New York Continental Hotel, which caters exclusively to the criminal underworld and permits no assassinations on its premises, where he will remain for the duration of his business trip. Perkins is someone he recognizes. Winston, the manager and owner of the Continental, is another old buddy of John's. When John inquires, Winston informs him that Iosef is at a nightclub called Red Circle. John enters the club where Iosef and his friends are having a good time. He meets an old acquaintance there and tells him to take the day off as the man thanks him. Iosef is enjoying a night of champagne and ladies in a luxurious Russian bathhouse when John murders one of his guys and approaches via the club's bottom floor. When they see John, he starts firing at them while Iosef flees. John kills every hitman in his way, but he loses Iosef in a getaway car as he departs. He returns to the Continental to get a gash in his side sewn up after being stabbed in the stomach by one of Viggo's guys with a bottle. The doctor warns John that if he strains himself too much, his sutures will rip. John claims that the bourbon he purchased earlier would cover the painkiller portion of his rehabilitation. Marcus climbs to the roof of the building across the street late at night and sets his eyes on John, who is sleeping. He notices someone arriving via the mirror. He shoots a warning shot at John. Perkins starts firing at John, but he manages to avoid her. She informs him that if she violates the hotel's regulations and murder John for Viggo, he will give her $4 million. He struggles with Perkins until he has her in a headlock and offers her compassion in exchange for information. She informs John that Viggo stores the majority of his assets in a church basement. John knocks Perkins out and leaves her with Harry for one of their organization's gold coins. Perkins is shackled to a chair by Harry, who is unaware that she has dislocated her thumb and is slipping away. She exits the vehicle and covers Harry's face with a pillow before shooting him. John visits Viggo's hidden stockpile of cash and business documents in the chapel. Following the shooting of the other guards in the church, John compels the priest to lead him to the vault. He dismisses the ladies in the vault and sets fire to the entire structure. Viggo hears about the fire just as he is about to be trapped in a barrage of bullets from John. Despite killing the majority of Viggo's men, he is knocked unconscious when one SUV collides with another, pushing John to the ground. Viggo apprehends him and questions why he's gone to such lengths for vengeance over a car and a dog. Iosef took the puppy away from John, who claims it was a gift from his dead wife. He also warns that he has the option of handing Iosef over to him or dying with him. Viggo abandons him to his thugs, who suffocate him with a garbage bag. Marcus, on the other hand, is watching from the adjacent building and shoots one of the hitmen in the head, allowing John to take out the other. Only John is left alive as John pulls out his revolver and fires at Viggo's escape vehicle. Viggo is forced to inform John that Iosef is hidden at a Brooklyn safe house. Even though the safe house is secured by armed men, John kills them all and storms the property. He destroys all the getaway vehicles with bombs and then catches up to Iosef and puts a bullet in his stomach and then shoots him in the head. Perkins learns that John and Marcus have been in contact and informs Viggo. So Viggo sends his thugs to Marcus's house in retribution for Iosef's death and for failing to kill John. They thrash him there until Viggo and Perkins arrive and fatally shoot him. Just as Viggo is about to leave the house, he calls John and tells him that he has killed his friend. Viggo then leaves for a helicopter that is going to take him away from the city. The plan is that John will come to Marcus's house and Perkins will ambush him. Perkins is summoned to a meeting with Winston, the proprietor of the Continental Hotel, while waiting for John to arrive at Marcus's house. At the Bethesda Arcade in Central Park, she meets Winston and 4 other men. Winston informs her that she has disobeyed Continental's regulations and that her membership has been revoked. The 4 men put her to death. As Winston goes away, he runs across the same cleaner who assisted John in removing the assassin's remains from his home and gives him a few pennies. When John discovers Marcus's body, he sets out to assassinate Viggo. He spots Viggo and their men on their way to the chopper and attempts to slam his car into them. Viggo orders Avi to assassinate John, only for John's automobile to slam into him. Viggo tries to force John's car off the cliff, but he survives. The two then battle in the rain, hand to hand. Viggo tries to attack John, but John pulls the blade into himself to generate leverage and break Viggo's arm, then grabs the knife from his stomach and stabs Viggo in the neck. He abandons him to his fate. We return to the opening scene as John continues to bleed. He feels motivated to keep going after seeing the video with Helen. He enters a dog shelter to treat his knife wound. He then adopts a pit bull puppy and brings him home with him. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.